How are you, Felice? You holding up?
Well, actually, what is going on? I can't. This country is a mess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold on one second. I just gotta find my background.
Yeah.
Been wanting to talk to you, Matt, about the UCMJ and what we've seen over the past couple of days. I know you've touched on it a lot, but nice to see you guys. Glad we're here.
Yeah. Here we are.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate y'all. Welcome to the effing fight for.
Nailed it.
Figured it out. Took me longer than I expected, but I made it.
That's all right.
You did.
We're here.
We are here.
Oh,
All still alive.
for now.
Everything good on the home front, Felice?
Yeah, everything's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not
Okay.
talk about that. Let's
Fair
just
enough.
pretend that's not even happening.
Gotcha. I just have a couple of questions, if that's cool. If we can kick this off, unless you had something going on.
Right into it.
Yeah, so I think I've had a lot of people reach out. Had a good conversation today about the UCMJ specifically, and I did my best to kind of understand it, and I think I have a pretty good handle on it, Matt. But I think it might help a lot of people who are tuning in tonight. So if we're talking about the UCMJ and and the Marines and posse comitatus and all those kinds of things and how they're related and what's a lawful order and what's an unlawful order. So maybe it would help folks if you could maybe at 100,000 feet unpack that for some people. I know you talk about it a lot, but we might have a new audience tonight.
Yeah, of course. So here's let me pull this up real quick. All right, so let's just start like super high level, right? So this is the oath of enlistment that everybody takes. They go to MEPS, which is the military entrance processing station, where they do your physical and your psych evals and all that other shit, right? And when you get all that passed, then you raise your right hand and you swear this oath of enlistment. And it says, I, Matthew Gordon, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Now, obviously in there, it says orders from the president, orders from officers appointed over me, right? So if you take just the words right there, and if you stopped there, then it would be any order that's given to you, you have to go. But it continues on with according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Now, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, or the UCMJ, which is how I'm going to refer to it from now on, because that's 4 words that I'm just tired of saying. So the UCMJ is kind of, the military has its own set of laws outside of the laws that are applied to every citizen, right? So when you're in the military, you are held to the standard of 2 different sets of laws, one being the laws passed by Congress, the other being the UCMJ. Within the UCMJ, it covers everything from, fraud and theft and unalivings and, all various amounts of crime. But then it gets into specifics about following orders and the penalties and punishments for not doing that. But in the UCMJ, they make a distinction. It is not the orders that are given to you. It's the lawful orders that are given to you. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the lawful orders is the key word there. Okay. Lawful orders under the law are defined as orders that do not violate the Constitution. They do not violate the laws of the United States, and they do not violate the individual service members' rights. Okay. So if any of those are violated, then it is an unlawful order. When you are given an unlawful order, or if you think that you have been given an unlawful order, then it is your responsibility as the service member to question that order, right? And you say, I don't think that that is a lawful order, and I'm going to refuse to carry out that order until I am told by JAG or, whoever else that this is in fact a lawful order, and you have to go through with it, right?
Like through the chain of command, you would do it that way. You would do it through the chain of command.
Like if I got an order from my sergeant, right? I'm a PFC. I get a sergeant telling me to do something. Then I would say, no, I don't think that's right. He tells you to go and key the CO's car. All right. I order you, PFC Schmuckatelli, to go key the CO's car. Obviously, you're going to not follow that order, right? That's illegal. That's vandalism. Violates the law. That is an unlawful order.
Okay.
When you're talking about, and I had a very long conversation with a guy yesterday. His name was Dukes. On here, he's still an active duty Marine Corps officer. This situation that we're dealing with right now is a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the orders aren't coming from your sergeant. They're not coming from your platoon sergeant. They're not coming from your platoon commander, your XO, your CO, your battalion commander. They're not even coming from the division or regiment. They're coming from the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States, right? So now you have the situation where this order coming down from the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense, coming down through the ranks, right? This order comes down through the ranks. As a PFC, junior enlisted in the Marine Corps, by the time that order gets to you, and that it has come down through through the chain of command, your mindset is probably, there is no way that this order is going to get from the tippy top of the military all the way down to me if it is an unlawful order. Right? If it goes from the tippy top all the way down to me, by the time it gets to me, there's no way that by the time it gets to me, it hasn't gone through something, right? Now, this doesn't excuse individuals that follow an order that is unlawful, right? I'm just giving you all the mindset of an 18 to 21 year old junior enlisted in the Marine Corps infantry on where their head is, right? The Marine Corps is, and it's insane to me that the Marine Corps was the one that was tapped to do this, because the Marine Corps in and of itself is a warfighting organization.
Is it just proximity because of where Pendleton is? Okay.
No. There are Army bases that are in the area there. There's Navy bases that are in the area there. They could have picked anybody.
Okay.
Right. They could have picked anybody. And given the way that, mass deployments and whatnot are done with the Army and the Navy and whatnot, like, they could have sent security forces from any branch there. They chose the Marines. That was a specific choice. And I think that they did that because Marines have one mission, right? I mean, it's in our kind of ethos, right? Is that every Marine is a rifleman, right? No matter what your job is, you should be able to pick up a firearm that you see on the ground and be proficient with that weapon to shoot, move, and communicate with a unit to achieve the objectives, right? So when Marines who are not trained to be peacekeepers, right? You could make an argument if they had sent like an MP battalion, right? A military police battalion. Like, okay, at least, I still don't agree with it, but at least military police are trained in the same type of shit that regular police are doing. So it's,
crowd control, things like that. Right?
like things like that, de-escalation, non-lethal trainings, things like that. Right. So, I mean, like, at least there's that, you could at least then make an argument like, well, they're sending MPs though. So it's not like they're sending the infantry, but they're sending the infantry. They're sending 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines from 29 Palms, California, which is an infantry battalion. The infantry has one job. The infantry in the Marine Corps has one job. And it's not to de-escalate situations. Well, it is to de-escalate situations, but it's to do it in the most destructive and awe-inspiring way that you've ever seen in your life, so that you don't want to fight back, right? The Marines are we're a war. There's a reason that the Germans called us devil dogs in World War I. Marines pushing through mustard gas in the trenches of World War I under machine gun fire to take. Nobody had seen anything like that before.
Right.
That's the mentality of the United States Marine Corps. Right. So this idea that we're going to tap the Marines to send them to Los Angeles and as of right now, there is no orders for them. Right. As of right now, there's no orders because, again,
they're all sleeping in like warehouses, like they're they're detained immigrants right now. Like,
right. So I mean, like, they don't have orders as it is right now, so they don't know what they're doing. The LAPD doesn't know why they're there. The National Guard doesn't know why they're there. So like, you've got this active duty Marine Corps unit who's getting sent to Los Angeles, California by bus, right? They bust them in to, I don't know, stand
134 million. I was listening to the congressional hearing today, by the way, where they're screaming at, box of wine, Pete Hegseth, and $134 million. But by the way, Pete Hegseth is one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak in my life. I am dumber now for having listened to him try to answer questions about the military. I can't believe he was in the military. He seems to not know anything about management in general. But 134 million for 60 days. We're rooting out the waste, fraud, and abuse, guys. Yeah. It's happening.
Yeah.
Well, if we're picking dumb, I'm taking Linda McMahon. You can have Pete, but I'm taking Linda McMahon personally.
It'll be a cage match between the two of them over.
Oh, Linda McMahon can't do addition or multiplication. I learned that from watching her.
Neither can Pete Hegseth. So, I mean, again.
At least he's drunk.
I mean, I guess he's got an excuse.
Right.
But, I think the problem here, right? The real issue is, what's the point of this?
Exactly.
What's the point?
It's I know. It's a distraction. Hello. We tried he tried to march out James Comer to do the whole, we're going to investigate Biden. And he's like, okay. And that's highly unpopular. I was looking at YouGov polling about that. Yeah. Like, it's not really unpopular to make up lies about a guy who's dying of cancer, it turns out. So that didn't work. And then all of a sudden Elon Musk is turning on him and saying, yeah, the math's right. We're all going into, our children's children are going into debt forever. Do you think it's any coincidence that last Friday, all of a sudden, Kilmar Abrego Garcia's on a plane home after denying a Supreme Court order? Trump needs big distractions from the fact he's literally driving us all into debt for the rest of our lives. And then they tried, I said this, it was fascinating to watch Pam Bondi do that last Friday, her weird press conference, because she did it once before. She did an hour and 30-minute press conference in February saying she had caught the East Coast leader of MS-13. Guess where that guy is? Free with no charges, because it wasn't him.
Right.
And for an hour and 30 minutes, she said he was an unaliver, a trafficker. I mean, anything you could imagine, she accused that person of, and then they're like, just kidding. He didn't do anything. So, and then people aren't, even the YouGov polling, people aren't too hot on what Trump's doing to kill Abrego Garcia. So, but you know what narcissists are? Really great opportunists. And Trump's been meaning to do this for a while, and he's like, this is a great chance. No one should lose sight of the fact we're all being robbed.
Oh, sure. And yes, agreed.
Hey, sorry, I have a lot of feelings, so I don't
No,
even. I didn't mean to even say that much. I don't even.
It's okay. That's
No,
great.
I agree. I agree with everything that you said.
Police after dark.
I was going to say, but I would add that this is also like a wet dream of the Republican Party.
Big time.
Is
Law and order, Matt.
yeah, not even
States'
law
rights,
and
brother.
order. Not even states' rights. It's the
Inside
United
joke.
States military openly patrolling cities that they find to be dangerous to their narrative.
Mm-hmm.
This was laid out in what they wanted to do in their whole fucking policy manifesto.
It's written in Project
Written down.
2025. Trump could not figure out how to do any of this legally on his own. That's why he needed like 500 nonprofits to write Project 2025, because they have all the weird, obscure legal precedents set up.
Yeah. And
So I just had one. I'm sorry. I just had one follow up on that. The chain of command. So say for example, like you said, you would expect it to be stopped along the way. At some point, somebody would step up and say that this is an unlawful order, right? Based on the it's
Because there's
unconstitutional, it's
lawyers,
against the law.
especially in the officers.
JAG lawyers
Before
right
anything
along the way.
happens, you have to consult military lawyers who say, like, here's the rules of engagement, or here's how you can do this legally. Yeah.
there were.
Exactly.
Hypothetically, now they all signed loyalty pledges to a man who
That was
paints
one of the
himself
first
orange.
things that Donald Trump did when he took over the office again, was he fired the JAG lawyers at the Pentagon that were in charge of reviewing orders for legality.
Bunch of jagoffs. But
Well, and I was reading and Inspector General, sorry, Steve, and the as well, they said if you want to defy an order, if you believe it to be unlawful and you're in the military, you're supposed to consult, military personnel, invoke whatever, whistleblowers law, and then also contact the Inspector General. I was like, is there even an Inspector General at the Pentagon anymore? Who knows?
Probably not.
Would there be a case then, Matt, if there were no checks along the way, and you get someone of the 300 that they've been mobilized and now they're deployed, and this one Mr. Shuttlecock, private PFC Shuttlecock or whatever his name was, decides that this is crazy? Like, at that point, does he just drop his gear? Does he stand down? I mean, what's that process like? And I'm really curious, and I couldn't really find any data, like how often these kinds of things happen.
It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I was sent over to division for a little bit with some health issues, and I worked in their G7 office, which was the office of the Inspector General for 2nd Marine Division, right? And so every now and then, this was height of the global war on terror. We're talking 2006, probably 2005 ish, so I mean, we're in it, we're in Iraq at this point for a couple of years. We've been in Afghanistan for a couple of years. We're in it. Every now and then, coming across the desk there, you would get a congressional inquiry, to the office from a service member in the military who was like, I'm not going. I'm a conscientious objector. I'm not going, and it would get, it would get sent up for investigation, and, people would look into it and figure out what's going on. And then a decision would be made yeah, no, I mean, he's got, whatever it is that he's citing, and they'll be like, all right, well, we're going to ADCEP you out of the Marine Corps. And, appreciate you being here. Have a good rest of your life. And that was it, right? They would feel like it wasn't in their best interest to do it, So I mean,
I fed the UCMJ into this app that does statistical analysis. I know this is how concerned I am, but
AKA Felice's brain.
And then I asked it a bunch of different questions, because AI can obviously analyze the entire military code of justice faster than I can. So what are the questions I asked? How to refuse an unlawful order. Politely but firmly refuse and state the order is unlawful. To request clarification in writing. Before you say you have to give me clarification in writing to stall. This is literally what AI says that the UCMJ says. 3, report the order to the chain of command, inspector general or JAG, the judge advocate general, and then invoke whistleblower protections if applicable.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially it. And I mean, it's very important to get it in writing, and say, and lay it out. Here's the problem though, right? Like, yes, those are the steps. Do you know how many of those steps are taught to Marines when they are in the Marine Corps? None of them.
Yeah, no.
Right? If you have, the only thing that Marines are aware of is that if you have a problem with somebody in your chain of command, you can, in the Marine Corps, you request MAST, right? Which is, I need to talk to, it's essentially, I need to talk to your manager, right? That's essentially what it is. I mean, like if we're being down, like if my platoon sergeant told me to do something and I didn't,
like, retaliated against, you're going to get retaliated against for doing it anyway.
Yeah. So I would request MAST to the platoon commander, right? And if I didn't get a resolution at the platoon commander, then I would request MAST to the captain, or the company XO or, the company CO or whatever, and then you just take it up the chain of command until the issue is resolved. It is literally, I need to speak to your manager for the Marine Corps. Is what it is. So,
and once you ask to speak to someone's manager, they're going to put you on a list of people who are, asking to speak to people's managers. Then you'll be harassed for all eternity.
Probably.
That's exactly where I was going with that. So you're saying, the expectation is that you're supposed to ignore an unlawful order, sort of.
Yeah.
Air quoted. So if you do that, who determines whether or not you were within your rights to ignore that order? Is that through JAG, through the chain of command, ultimately?
Yeah, ultimately. I mean,
okay, and then
JAG
would
come if it got if you took it to JAG, then JAG would be the one that would make the determination. The Inspector General's office would make the determination. You can send a congressional inquiry, and to your representative to be like, okay, I think this is an unlawful order. You can do things like that.
And then did you say that you would be discharged if you did that? You would be admitted.
You could. I mean, that's, wow. That's crazy. That was specifically for the conscientious objectors.
Okay.
Because it was like, okay,
this is different. Yeah.
The conscientious objectors is like, okay, you're in the infantry. You signed up to join in the infantry, and now you're all of a sudden not wanting to deploy. Like, all right, we get it. We get it. Maybe, you got a little bit more information than you had before, and now you've realized whatever it was. You can speculate about it all the time, but sometimes it would work, sometimes it didn't, right? And usually when it did, they would be like, okay, well, we're not going to, at any given point in the Marine Corps, you could get forward deployed with whatever unit you're with, and possibly be put in a situation where you're going to have to pick up a weapon and do something. So it would probably just be better for all parties involved if we just part ways,
What if you have bone spurs?
Oh, well, bone spurs are
multiple times.
Those are get out of draft free cards, apparently. So
have you thought over the past, couple of days, Matt, like if you were a younger man and back in your Marine Corps days and you were
Matt is a reverse catfish, so he is a younger man pretending to be 65. He's not 65, in case anyone thought that. Don't make me get the picture out. Matt's a catfish and like a reverse catfish. He could be good looking and uglies himself up for some reason.
Sure, that's what it is.
Find the picture. I have it.
I know you have it.
We have it's on the calendar. We have the calendar. We're ready to go. We can talk about fundraising. Do you have you thought about if you were in this position, like where you would be sitting?
In the comments, haven't seen it. There's probably I'm gonna go find it.
Okay,
you should find it.
Yeah, I've thought about it, and I honestly, PFC Matt Gordon, fresh out of boot camp in checking into my unit. I don't know. I mean, I like to think that, that I'd be like, I don't know, man, this is weird. We're going against United States citizens, right? Like I would like to think that I would, but it's, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing about I can't speak to any other branch. The Marine Corps, though, is very good about shaping you in a way that you trust your superiors, right? You know, there's somebody, you know, whoever's above you, there has to be this inherent trust there just because of the nature of the job that you're doing, especially in the infantry, which is where I was, right? You just, if you don't trust the person giving you the orders, then it's hard for your unit to be successful, right? You're not going to be successful.
Your life. Yeah,
right,
yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's hard for you to trust that you're going to come home from whatever deployment you're on. Again, I like to think that I would be, you know, questioning this, but it's, you know, this. Here's the thing about the Marine Corps. All right, let me. In the Marine Corps infantry, like I said, you're trained to do one thing, and that is fight. You're trained to fight. You're trained in, you know, military operations on urban terrain. You know, you're trained in, you know, convoy logistics and, you know, hand arm signals and, you know, contact drills and, you know, and it's just nonstop, you know, it is nonstop. And so there's no wars that the United States is in right now that everybody is like, I'm going to be able to do what I've been training to do since I joined the Marine Corps because, you know, I'm going to be forward deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan and get to do what I was trained to do. That's not happening right now. Mm-hmm. So you got a bunch of Marines that are training nonstop to go into high stress, you know, combat scenarios. I like to think that I would like to think that the staff NCOs and officers that are over them are really, you know, really laying it on thick that this is not a combat situation and that people in 2-7 need to understand that, right? But at the same time, you've got guys that deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan that are there that have dealt with things like this before in hostile areas. You know, you've got guys that, and then you've got these younger guys who are looking up to these guys as like, you know, they're the war heroes essentially. You know, they've been there, they've seen shit, they've done things, and so now they've got a, you know, slight chip on their shoulder to prove their worth to the Marine Corps. Marines are very disciplined. Like, don't get me wrong. Marines are, I'll die on this hill. Like of the military branches, like the Marines as a whole, the infantry and the Marines are some of the most disciplined troops that we have in the military. But the risk of this kind of going sideways quick is extremely high. Yeah. When you're taking a unit, specifically an infantry unit, whose only job is to shoot, move, and communicate, you know, and putting them into a high stress situation where emotions are high. You know, the country feels like it's a powder keg right now. And, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, Marines are good at what they do. Right? Marines are good at what they do. They are some of the most, you know, extensively trained and well-disciplined troops on the planet. But they're also human beings, you know, and
stress, pressure,
Everybody's going to react differently, in these high stress, you know, chaotic type of situations. And the problem with, a bunch of junior Marines that have never deployed before is you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know where they're at. Like, I could tell you how I would react now because I deployed to 2 different combat zones, right?
Sure.
So like I could tell you right now how I would react in these situations, right? Because I have that experience. But right now you've got a bunch of junior Marines who have never deployed to a combat zone. They've never seen any kind of action, as a Marine. And, some of them are probably like, I wish a motherfucker would. And, that's just like it, don't like it, whatever. The truth is the truth. That's just how Marines are. That's why they are the tip of the spear for the United States of America. They're the ones that go in, and get shit done and then leave. The Marines don't deploy for 15, 16 months like the Army does. We do 9 months and then we get the fuck out because we're not an occupation force. We are an invasion force that's there to punch a hole in whatever's in our way and set it up so that everybody else can come in and do their job. Like that is the Marine Corps, So I just say that like tapping a Marine Corps infantry unit to go to LA for whatever their mission is, they still don't know. They don't have orders, right? Why they're there? Because they're trying to figure it out. Because obviously, but it has the potential to turn sideways really quick, and that's troubling and upsetting.
Somebody asked this question in the chat about that were they only equipped with batons and shields, or would they go in fully loaded?
This isn't the UK. Yeah, what?
Marines.
This is not England. No, of course they have guns.
A Marine Corps infantry unit does not have batons and shields. They don't have shields,
feathers and pillows.
I
guarantee the 1800s in England.
I guarantee you, if the Sabers. Marines are asked to go and work checkpoints or whatnot, they will be out there in their full combat kit. They'll be in flak jacket, Kevlar. They'll have their rifles, their sidearms, whatever, and they will be as if they were occupying a city anywhere else in the world, because that's what we know. That's what we do. We're not a police force, right? They're going to set up checkpoints. They're going to do vehicle sweeps. It's going to look like, if you've ever seen, I forget which one it was. I think like, it was in like the early 90s or late 90s, and it was a movie about like martial law was declared somewhere, and the Army general kind of took it over, and there were Humvees and shit everywhere, and I can't remember that. I think Bruce Willis was in it. But that right there is not Red Dawn, because that one's a little different.
Wolverine.
Yeah. But anyway, they're not gonna be out there, but the Siege. Yes,
the Siege. That's right. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. They're not going to be out there with batons and shields, because Marine infantry units don't have that. We don't train with those because that's not our mission. That's not what we do. I'm telling you, they're going to be out there in flak jackets and Kevlars, and they're going to have their rifles, and it's going to be as if they were setting up a checkpoint in a city anywhere else in a hostile area, because that's what we do. That's all we know.
That's right.
Can I just say, I just want to make this clear, because you can be delusional, and I know, MAGA, you run on emotions, and Fox News makes it look like LA is burning down, which, tell me without telling me, none of you have ever been to California except someone took you to Disneyland, which is not in LA, it's in Anaheim, when you were 4, and for some reason you understand how LA County functions. LA, there's like a small area where people are.
Yeah.
You could drive for like over an hour in many directions and nothing is going on in LA. Like, this is the most delusional I've ever heard of in my life, that people think LA, like, Trump is a pathological liar. Prior to yesterday, there were 55 arrests due to this protest. Yeah, and because Trump wants to act like, oh, something crazy is going on. You know how many people were arrested on Monday? 96. Do you know for what? Not for violence, for failure to disperse.
Correct.
Failure to disperse. And you think we need to waste $134 million deploying Marines and the National Guard? This is just another distraction of Trump's so he can pass his bill and rob us all. rob our
And
children's children. Like, this is delusional. There is no emergency, which, by the way, I also know MAGA doesn't understand California. You understand the Los Angeles Police Department, you know how mad these people are. I don't know. And you can look this up after. One of the Los Angeles Police Department has one of the highest prevalences of psycho and sociopaths, like, of any police department in the world. They are armed like a military. They have tanks. They have anti-aircraft weapons. Like, this is a military, and these are people who are pretty disturbed and enjoy unaliving people. If you don't believe me, there's many reports on this. Yeah. So you can look into it. But, you know, anyways, it's a long story. But believe me, the LAPD, they were looking forward to doing something horrible to these people and would have taken care of it all on their own. Mm-hmm. They're just fine. Don't worry about the LAPD. They are an army unto themselves and could have handled this fine. We have now wasted $134 million. So Trump can distract from the fact he's wasting more money and robbing us. Mm. And this drives me insane.
And it's probably I would like to think that, well, I don't like to think, it seems like it's a test run to see what the response is from municipalities, from cities, from governors, from mayors, and then you can test drive it in other cities.
Trump is talking about arresting the governor, and I know it's like a joke, but it's not a joke. What, MAGA? This is a great time for you to use your brains and think about how you all used to talk about states' rights, brother. Don't tread on me. In what world? You guys are all giant. You're logically inconsistent hypocrites. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
I was reading a lot of polling on this, and everything Trump is doing, just to be clear, is unpopular. People are very upset about it. Oh, by the way, I did find the picture of Matt, too, so I am prepared to put that up. Wait, hold on. Let me read something. Do you approve, or this is the YouGov polling, do you approve or disapprove of deploying the National Guard soldiers to the Los Angeles area to respond to protests over the federal government's immigration enforcement? 38% approve, 45% disapprove, 17% are not sure. What in F is going on? How can you not be sure? Do you approve or disapprove of deploying Marines to the Los Angeles area to respond to protests over the federal government's immigration enforcement? 34% approve, 47% disapprove, 19% not sure. Do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of Gavin Newsom? So let me add these together. Like, between 34% either have very favorable, somewhat favorable, somewhat unfavorable is 12%, very unfavorable 27%, and 27% don't know. And then there's Trump. Hold on, because I find this funny. Do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of Donald Trump? Nobody likes Trump. 22% very favorable, somewhat favorable 18%, somewhat unfavorable 9%, 44% very unfavorable. Like, Trump's just upside continues down to sink farther and farther in the polls.
This is what Mike Johnson had to say. This is sound from today that I found about his response to the potential arresting threats against Mr. Trump.
That if he were Tom Homan, he would arrest Gavin Newsom. You believe that Newsom should face consequences in a legal way?
That's not my lane. I'm not going to give you legal analysis on whether Gavin Newsom should be arrested, but he ought to be tarred and feathered. I'll say that. I mean, look, he's standing in the way of the administration and the carrying out of federal law. Right? He is applauding the bad guys and standing in the way of the good guys. He is trying to. He's a participant, an accomplice in our federal law enforcement agents being not just disrespected but assaulted. This is a serious problem, and the governor is now filing a lawsuit against the president. What a joke. Do your job, man. That's what I tell Gavin Newsom. Do your job. Stop working on your rebranding and be a governor. Stand up for the rule of law. He's not doing that. So I don't know what the ultimate measure will be there, but I know that in the interim time, the president of the United States is showing real leadership, and we're not going to allow LA to burn. We've seen this movie before, right? This thing gets out of hand real quickly, especially in a big city like that. And if local and state officials are unwilling or unable to do their job, the president of the United States will do his, and we support that fully.
So a governor of an American city told that he should be tarred and feathered. That would be the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. How funny that Mike Johnson telling a governor to do his job when Mike Johnson is rallying his troops to take food out of children's mouths. But nothing to see here.
Hundreds of thousands of children won't have health insurance, school lunches, or SNAP money anymore. And he's telling people, he's starving children to death at saying, do your job. What a coward. And also, how this man is beholden to the ethics of the bar, which is a joke. Like, please don't accuse anyone of not following law and order. You're a coward. Who's on your knees from a man wearing terrible orange makeup. It's super creepy.
For those of you that may have just found us scrolling through, welcome. Thanks for being here. Myself, Matt Felice. This is the effing fight for virtual town hall. We'll do these we're trying to get a more consistent schedule, probably every other week. Tuesday nights will be the nights if we do them. We want to talk to you if you've got things on your mind. Tonight, we obviously have got a lot to talk about in regards to LA. And I was discussing this on my show today. Felice and I talked about it yesterday about the gaslight from legacy media. About how they need clicks, they need viewers, they need eyeballs. And as we all discussed, it's not nearly as bad, not even close to as bad as what the media wants you to believe. So that's why I think this is a bit of a test drive. It's to kind of foment the base. It's to make sure that everybody stays angry and showing hatred towards brown skinned people. So that's kind of what we're talking about tonight. And then we've got, of course, the parade coming up this weekend, coincides with the No Kings rally. There's 3 within a half an hour of me. Bernie's going to be at 1. My plan is to try to put a mic in front of his face. We'll see how that goes. I'll report back. But thank you all for being here, please. Tap, tap, tap like crazy.
I was going to say, let's tap the screen. Let's get Matt to 100K. Tapping is clapping. It's also one of the only things we have control over right now in life. That's why I like it.
As we
can't control
Sunday,
anything else,
please.
but we can tap the screen.
That's right. Another piece to this, I was curious. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that the military parade is happening on the taxpayer dime this weekend in DC. That will be something that we've never witnessed before. That will be an experience that none of us have ever seen before to that level of detail. North Korea, Russia, much. Do you think it's a coincidence that the events in LA are timed with what's happening in DC this weekend? Either one of you? You think it's coincidental?
I mean, I really think what is happening in LA is a distraction. Trump was getting an extreme amount of bad press, and his base was fracturing, and he can't defend that because everything, the math is mathing. He's robbing his own base. They just can't read or do math and are idiots. But people might have started listening or I don't know, doing basic mathematical calculations and figured out that Trump's a lying fraud. So he had to cause a giant distraction. Trump is a loser military academy cadet. I don't know if anyone doesn't know that, but he got shipped off to second-rate military school, and they had military parades there. And I think ever since then, he's wanted his. This is like his chance to finally have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not surprised that all of this is happening. I'm also not. Look, I am going to continue to believe that the one thing that Donald Trump wants to do is invoke martial law in this country, right? So that he can consolidate even more power into himself, because the only thing that Donald Trump loves more than himself is power and control. And I find it very interesting that Donald Trump, after being like, yep, we're going to send Marines into LA, is telling people that if they decide to use their First Amendment right to protest at this military parade on Saturday, that they will be met with very big force.
Right.
So it's, he said that, and again, like saying that the only people that would protest that parade are people who hate our country, right? People who hate our country, they're not out protesting you. They're not
right. People who hate our country. You mean people who can read? Right. I agree.
Yeah. People want this country to be better than it is. Right? That's what people want. They don't hate this country. People hate the history of this country. People hate its continued willful ignorance of its history. People hate the people that are in charge of this country. The country itself has a shit ton of potential that if we just chose to do better, we could, right? That's why people are in the streets. They're not in the streets because they want to see the United States of America, burn to the ground and whatnot. They're in the streets because they know it can be better than this.
Somebody just asked the question in the chat about what is martial law. I actually had it queued up. Martial law is the temporary imposition of direct military control over normal civilian functions of government, typically in response to a crisis such as war, natural disaster, rebellion, or widespread civil unrest, imposed by the executive branch, often the president or a governor, depending on federal or state level. What it suspends civil liberties such as habeas corpus, freedom of movement, or press. Who enforces it? The military or the National Guard, replacing or aiding civilian law enforcement, and then legal authority, not clearly defined in the U.S. Constitution, governed by precedent, statutes, and executive discretion. So that's the question that I had. I'm glad somebody asked. Thank you for asking that question. I'm not sure who that was, but country this large, I know people have talked about it, and I think we need to be careful when we talk about it, because I think it would be extremely difficult to execute nationwide martial law. You would
never be able to
disagree.
You would never be able to do it.
Exactly.
You would never.
So it's more this gaslight.
So I wouldn't say that it's just gaslighting. The way that I see it is that if they decided that they were going to do something as drastic as that, it will be something where they're like, we're declaring martial law across the country. But the only places that you would see it being enforced are places like New York City,
Detroit, Philadelphia,
Atlanta, Detroit, Philly, Boston, all of these, evil sanctuary cities, right?
Right.
Those would be the ones that you would see.
Places Trump can't get governors to get on their knees for him.
Exactly.
It's places he feels are out of control, like his control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So, you're not going to be in small town, rural Kansas, right? Seeing tanks and whatnot, patrolling your cities, because they don't care about you.
Right.
Listen, this is going to
it's not brown enough.
You can't read, your brains don't work. You'd give him a Andrew Jackson already. You guys have nothing you need.
There's no economic benefit to sending the military to bumfuck nowhere, Kansas, right? But if the president of the United States could take over control of the commerce in the big metropolitan cities, then that's something, right? So you're not going to see a nationwide martial law declaration. It's going to be targeted, and it's going to be very direct. And of course, Donald Trump isn't going to be the one making that call, because he's too fucking stupid to know what I'm talking about right now. But there are people that are pulling his catheter strings, that are smart enough to know what cities and how they need to go about doing that.
Let me just give an example. Like, you have to understand, California is the fourth largest economy in the world. I'm talking country sized economy. It's the fourth largest. The United States has the number one gross domestic product, but California's is 4. All you red state welfare weirdos, that's who's supporting you. It's maintenance California, places like California, New York City. You guys are in the red. You are on welfare from places like New York and California. Now imagine blue states are controlling. A blue state is the fourth largest economy in the world and controlling all the Western ports, all of the shipments from our trade partners, especially like China, and I mean controlling the Western seaboard. Yeah, that is where all that money's coming from. It does shipping lanes through the Pacific Ocean, and Trump probably feels very vulnerable right there. I mean, and that's essentially what it's about. But I want everyone to understand, legally, a lot of what Project 2025 is about is finding a bunch of obscure legal loopholes. So Trump already has essentially martial law going, right? That's what these emergency powers are. That's why he keeps declaring emergencies that are not happening, never were happening. It's so he can have extrajudicial or extraordinary powers and control people. So, I mean, that's the point. Essentially, he's already doing anything he wants to do. he transferred a bunch of federal land to the DOD across California, Arizona, and New Mexico. Bet you didn't know about that. Another end run around posse comitatus. So if immigrants walk on that land, then the military can detain them. I mean, it's already happening. Yeah, I'm live on YouTube. If you prefer to watch there, on A Girl Has No Name.
To back up Felice's point, from the Rockefeller Institute, the Tax Foundation, and the Office of OMB, so federal money's paid, so federal tax dollars paid into the government. New Jersey gets 82 cents back for every dollar they pay. Massachusetts, 83 cents. California, 99 cents. New York, 91 cents. Conversely, Mississippi gets $2.10 back for every dollar they pay. Kentucky, $2.13, West Virginia, $2.15, Alabama, $1.89, South Carolina, $1.71. Point being is that blue states, those woke havens, those liberal, radicalized centers of liberalism are flipping the fucking bill.
Again, people who can read and do math.
Yeah. We pay more in than we take.
Exactly. And it's not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, okay, so Donald Trump threatened California with withholding federal funds from California. And Gavin Newsom was like, maybe we just stop paying our taxes to you then.
You know, it's interesting. I like those kinds of responses, quite frankly. I don't know if that's rhetoric or what the mechanism would look like, but I like those kinds of responses, to be honest. I mean, I'm not a huge Gavin Newsom guy, but I like those kinds of responses.
Yeah, I don't like Gavin Newsom, but I mean, broken clock and all that.
Trump is talking about arresting Gavin Newsom. They asked him, what crime has Gavin Newsom committed? He said, basically running for governor. That's how idiotic. I mean, this man is Trump's brain does not work. 10 times a day, his brain stops working. And then I've got to hear about Biden's brain. Biden recovered our economy. The best in the G7 during COVID. Yeah. And this is how I know MAGA can't do math or read, because if they could, they would know that. It's really simple. Numbers don't lie. Numbers aren't in a cult. Numbers don't have your weird bias and make you want to give a guy who paints himself orange every day a Andrew Jackson. And then you would know that Biden was a successful president who lowered the deficit. All you guys talk about is we're spending too much. The guy that made the deficit smaller, you say did a bad job. Trump in his first 100 days spent $200 billion more than Biden spent the previous year. But you know how I know you don't know that? Because you can't read and you can't do math.
This again, just to follow up,
talk about it. So.
Or Newsmax. So again, blue states subsidize red states. On average, wealthier blue states send more money to Washington than they get back in services and aid. Red states depend more on federal aid. Programs like Medicaid, SNAP, infrastructure funding, agricultural subsidies. Here's the irony. Red states advocate for smaller government and lower taxes, but rely more on federal spending, while blue states often advocate for more federal investment, yet subsidize federal spending in poorer states. Maths, ladies and gentlemen, maths. It's crazy.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's too late for you. Just give up on addition, subtraction, multiplication. It's too late.
So I don't know if anybody's interested in coming up, or anybody has any questions. We can field some questions from the chat if necessary. But again, thank you all for
wants to scream for like 20 to 30 seconds.
We'll listen.
Just scream it to the void. That's fine, because I might do that at some point. I'm not done screaming. I have more things to scream.
Felicia and I have a therapy session on Sunday.
I'm having I'll tell you right now, my mental health is never good. I'm in the danger. I should not. I'm debating with Pickles tomorrow. MAGA, if any of you are listening, come find me tomorrow. I have some stuff to embarrass you with.
Oh, nice. Love it. Shaming. So where do you guys think?
Shaming you with the truth that none of you can read or do math.
What do you think is like next with this? Like what do you think the outcome is going to be? I'm curious, both of you, specifically as it relates to LA. Like obviously, I think we're going to see this test drive in other cities potentially. Like, what do you think is going to be the outcome?
Ask that again. I'm so sorry. I was reading something.
Okay, I'm curious as to what you think might the outcome be. Like, how does this situation in LA end? What would be next potentially, or what do you think is next?
Trump's going to pass his bill and rob us all and put our children's children. This is a distraction. There's no way. Oh, and I just wanted to say this is. I have more things to talk about, but just to be clear, so Gavin Newsom is trying to make it end through a lawsuit, right? And Gavin Newsom's a lawyer, which. Just a fun fact, because you know how I always like to just tell people things they don't know. You know how, if no one knows this, you know Don Jr.'s 7-year girlfriend he refused to marry, Kimberly Guilfoyle, whatever, who's now the ambassador to Greece because Don Jr. was cheating on her with someone else and they had to mail her to Greece so she wouldn't embarrass their whole family. Well, that used to be Gavin Newsom's wife. And yeah. He was married to her, and do you know that she's a lawyer? I think they met in law school. I didn't know. Yes, Kimberly Guilfoyle is apparently a lawyer, which is really what I want everyone to know. How could someone whose brain, apparently we are all lawyers now, so that's what I'm announcing. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know, Judge Box of Wine Janine from The Five, she's the acting DC head of the DOJ office in DC. Correct. So I'm a lawyer too now. That's the announcement I want to give.
We're all lawyers.
We're all lawyers starting now because Alina Habba is the acting attorney of New Jersey, and she's being sued by Ross Baraka. She's about to be a lot of money for targeting a black man for nothing.
Do you guys know how many former Fox TV personalities that have become lawyers that it takes to shingle a roof? Just one if you slice them thin enough.
That's hilarious. Wait, okay, let me finish what I was going to say about the lawsuit, though. So a federal judge, they try to, get you with headlines, and the headlines make you want to die. So I guess I'm trying to give people hope because I was reading, the court documents on that lawsuit. All hope is not lost. So just to be clear, it's just right now, the military's on their way. We're already there sleeping on warehouse floors. God, it's time to get out of the military. That's for sure. But the federal judge in, I believe, Northern California didn't stop it dead in its tracks. The White House the White House lawyers, not Trump. He can barely speak out loud. But the White House lawyers have until tomorrow at 11 a.m. to respond to the lawsuit.
Is this California suing?
It's Gavin Newsom's lawsuit. And then the state of California and the AG who's overseen that lawsuit. I can't remember the AG of California's name right now, and then California has until Thursday at 9 a.m. to respond. So it's not over. They're just not going to issue. But this is the chilling effect of Trump's threats, right? They probably could have issued an injunction and stopped it in its tracks, but they're not, right? Because Trump's always these activist judges are crazy. And it's you're crazy. But I think the real story will be told in the lawsuit, right? Because they're going to use data and be this is for Los Angeles, which, again, this is how I know MAGA's never been to California, except when they were 4 years old and went to Disneyland once. Because this is not an emergency in L.A. You have no idea how well-equipped L.A. is for emergencies in general. It's built on a major fault line. I mean, L.A. is it seems like chaos, but they are equipped to handle emergencies. And they're going to make a legal case for how stupid Trump is. Trump just wants there to be emergency. Just you know what the real emergency is in California, by the way? When Trump used the Civil Army Corps of Engineers to go waste 2 billion gallons of water that either evaporated or ran into the ocean that they need this summer. So just to be clear, most of our produce comes from California Central Valley when there isn't any. When there's a famine in America, that will be an emergency. And that is because of Donald Trump. So let's just be clear about what emergencies are.
Drip.
Here's a little tidbit too. Who is the most likely next governor of California? That'd be Kamala D. Harris.
It's a good idea what we're doing here. See, and I didn't know how crazy Trump would get. Isn't what we're doing here with the F-35? It's becoming more necessary than I ever thought. This is I'm my rage. Jennifer, thank you for the $10 on Cash App. I appreciate you so much. This is my job, so I appreciate the support. You're awesome, Jennifer.
If there is, I'm not sure which mods I have here at the moment, but if we got people waiting to come up and ask a question, if you could just let them up for a few minutes and we can answer some questions and whatnot.
Let them all look. And then Felice can show the picture of Matt.
But I think my advice, though, if anyone's looking for sanity, I would look to court documents, right? And to what Trump's lawyers will say in court. Because court, if people are like, why do you care so much about legal documents? Number one, they're primary sources, and I am a researcher. But number two, it's the last place the truth matters. Where people are under oath, like under threat of perjury, seems to be the last place where you can get anyone in the Trump administration to say anything true. They will be fired shortly after, but it seems like at least in court, some of them are compelled to not lie.
Mm-hmm.
Some. Yeah.
We'll see.
So it's interesting. I have this theory when I watch KKK Caroline give her press briefings. Certain days when she's really planning on lying to the press, more like escalated like level 12 lies, she doesn't wear a cross. Like if they're level like 6 or 7 lies, she wears a cross because then the burn doesn't hurt as much.
Man. That burn's legit.
I had to do a whole segment on the People's Receipts where I apologized to Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Kayleigh McEnany. I thought they were dumb. I did, and I apologize. I apologize to Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Kayleigh McEnany for how many times I screamed that they were dumb. No, now I know what true idiocy looks like in a press secretary. I see it now. Sorry about that, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You're a grifter who made the people of Arkansas pay $17,000 for a podium.
She got those kids back to work, though.
She did.
Got those kids.
Those kids right back in those mines. Great job, Sarah Huckabee.
Back out in the fucking farm fields, kids.
In those meat packing plants,
y'all
kids.
Had it too good for too long, you fucking freeloaders.
And to learn to read.
Pull your fucking
We talked about that, Felice, right? In Virginia, because their hands are so small, they can really
fit right in those mines. Get down in there.
Right.
Haven't you guys heard Trump's bringing back the clean coal?
Coal.
Some say
we laugh so we don't cry.
Some say it's beautiful coal.
Some say
most beautiful. It's beautiful
coal.
Again, we laugh so we don't cry. All right. So, what else is on your mind, you guys? I know that first of all,
on many things.
Go for it. I just want to thank you both because I know that we all have chaotic lives, but I think this is really important that we're doing this. I know
this is actually making me feel a lot better. I like to talk about mental health because I think it's good. Like I actually had anxiety before this live started because this is a very hard week for me, just mentally, but this is actually really helping me. So I'm glad we're doing this. I think a lot of people, it's helping. Oh yeah, that's a great point, Sphinx. And they took away Job Corps. They're like, these freeloading poor people don't want jobs. Let's take away their ability to get jobs and then let's scream that they won't get jobs. I can't even live in this country.
Pull yourself up by the baby bootstraps. Yeah.
You were trying to get a job? No, don't do that because then I can't scream you don't have one.
That's right.
Real Life Works. Saw you in the request. I think you were the first one in there, so I brought you up. Did you have a question? Something on your mind?
You're muted, friend. Real life.
Let's see. Send an invite.
I am.
There we go.
There you go.
Took a minute. I just wanted to give you.
There we go. There you go.
I wanted to. Took a minute. I just wanted to give you.
There we go. There you go.
I wanted to.
Real Life Works. We've got that stupid echo glitch thing. If you scroll out of the app and then just come right back in, just like close out the app like you were going to go check a thing and then just open the app right back up. Perfect. And then come back.
Nice. Almost.
We're halfway there.
Well, because
she comes back.
Fired half their staff.
Yeah. Unless you have Bluetooth headphones on, that could be it too.
Yeah.
No, I think
didn't have to drop. Damn.
All right. If you want to come back up, we can do that. Let's see here. I think I don't know. We'll go here. I'm just pissing in the wind, I guess. Jennifer.
Hello.
How are you? What's on your mind?
I'm great. kind of crashing out lately because my son graduates from Marine Corps boot camp Friday.
Oh shit! Yeah.
He's probably going to LA. He'll be sleeping in a warehouse in LA soon.
No.
East Coast or West Coast?
East.
Oh, okay. No, he'll be all right.
Yeah, I know, and he still has to go
He'll go
through.
to DC.
You see Trump speaking on the military base today, screaming they're bringing back the Robert E. Lee base and all this other. What
I didn't, and I have to add, like one of my side gigs is I'm an instructor for a state university in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
For political science, so like
love that.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
nice.
has
So
been
you've been
Thank
busy.
this has been really
Following you.
difficult.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow you because I'm sure you're staying up on stuff.
You go talk to MAGA because I'm running out.
I can't anymore. I just
Don't
lose
worry,
it.
yeah.
I lose it immediately.
So,
Immediately.
so what's
They
on
are
your mind? What do
violently
you got going on?
stupid. I'm sorry.
Violently
what?
stupid is a great way, or stupidly violent. It really
Yes.
is. Either one can be the adverb.
Either or. Either or.
So what was on your mind this evening, my friend?
Well, mainly I just wanted reassurance that my child was going to be okay because he's my baby.
Yeah, he's gonna be all right. He'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm slightly concerned because
Does Matt seem all right to you? I think that's really the question you need to ask.
Let me just explain.
That's a perspective question, I think, more than anything else, Felice.
I just want to give some more context to this.
Sure.
So I have two children, and they both graduated from a private Catholic high school.
Okay.
And my daughter, like, I have no concerns whatsoever. Sure. She is like 100% a copy of me.
Perfect.
But my son,
Matt is a catfish. This is the real Matt. This is Matt's face.
Why are you doing this to me?
I think my son's been a little bit red pilled.
Sure.
I just think people should know you're a liar, Matt. Or,
It concerns me. It concerns me. And
That's the Marine Corps. So here's what especially on the enlisted side, the Marine Corps takes from a lot of lower income, lower educated places that are strong Republican areas.
well,
Right.
that I'm in central Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
Yes.
and so the enlisted side of the house definitely skews further to the right than the officer side of the house does, especially in the infantry. Do you know what job he's doing?
Infantry.
Oh, okay.
Infantry.
Good, perfect, good for him.
He's fourth generation, by the way.
Sure.
Their dad, my ex, was a scout sniper.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's insane.
Sure.
I mean, I say that literally. He is insane.
Mm-hmm.
When it should have been a red flag. When
it's not, Jennifer. I think that's fine. That makes me like your son more.
Shortly after I met him, he said to me, and I quote, "My biggest regret is that I never got to kill anybody."
Yeah,
Ouch.
that tracks. That tracks.
Probably not. It's probably not rare.
That tracks. That sounds like something a scout says.
It totally is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wrote it off like, oh,
Sure.
that's what he was trained to do. Like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But then when he went into like explaining what they did to them at basic training, like even teaching them how to take a shower,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, he's brainwashed.
Yes.
That's what I was
Jennifer,
going to
you
say
said-
when Matt was talking. I was going to say, like, the part of the military I'm fascinated by is, like, the PsyOps part, which I worked in
nuts.
advertising, which my job was to reverse engineer ideas into people's head. And that's what the military is about. They break you down to nothing so they can build you back up as a whole new person. And everyone's showering the same. Everyone's walking the same. I mean, that's what's really scary about it.
It's, yeah, I know that it definitely sounds and looks scary when you think about it. There is a practical and logical reason why you would want a military service member to be able to conform in those types of situations.
Sure.
You get into a, high stress combat related area, with your son being in the infantry, anything's possible. The world's a fucking dumpster fire right now. you want the people that are around him to not second guess their actions and just be ready to go.
Yeah.
And, so, the Marine Corps does this probably the best. They're really good at forcing you into conformity with your unit. While you're at boot camp, there are no personal pronouns. It's this recruit the whole time you're there. There is no, identifier for you. Your name is gone. You are this recruit while you're there. You're not a Marine. You're not a civilian. You're this absolute nobody that's just trying to survive with your unit, with your platoon, getting through basic training. And that's all on purpose, because they want to instill this esprit de corps and this unit cohesion and this brotherhood aspect of everything. And they do it. The Marine Corps does it in a way that is like, we're going to make you feel worthless so that when you graduate, now you are a Marine. And that is the greatest thing that grown men weep after finishing the Crucible, getting their Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, and being called a Marine for the first time. I did.
Yes. And he just did that, I don't know, 8 or 9 days ago. But here's my biggest problem. And I guess this is getting a little bit therapy realm area, but
love therapy.
I do too. I still go every other week. But, so his dad was very abusive towards me emotionally, not physically, emotionally, sexually, financially, everything. And my biggest worry is is he going to turn out like him?
You said something, Jennifer, when we were going through this conversation about how you believe your son had been red-pilled, and I was thinking, I picked up on that because we've discussed, Felicia and I've had this conversation many times about the manosphere and how the manosphere is growing and the red pill effect and all these types of things and the influences. Did you notice that before he joined the Marine Corps?
Sure, I did.
Yeah.
Probably around his sophomore year of high school, only because we do live in a very red area. And
well, it doesn't even matter where you live, proximity, because now you've got access to
his school environment. I knew the families, and I've always been very outspoken on social media, so I was kind of blacklisted. I mean, think very small, private school community. And
was trapped in private Christian school. I know exactly what you're talking about. They
here's the
prayed
thing.
the gay out of me at chapel.
I graduated from a Catholic high school, and that's what radicalized me. So I did not see it as a problem. Plus the way I raised him. I mean, I guess I just feel like a giant failure.
No, absolutely not. Here's what I want you to recognize is that this, kind of the manosphere, as Fax calls it, and Felice call it, this manosphere of information and content and media has been pervasive in the younger generation men as they're coming up. Because they're listening to their friends who are listening to their friends who are listening to their friend's dad, who they think is just the coolest because he let them have a Bud Light one time, And so, this isn't, I need you to recognize that this isn't anything about how you raised him. This is how society influenced him.
Yeah, I mean, I know that on one level, but I still feel personal failure on another.
Let me tell you something. That's how I know you're a good mom. That sense of guilt,
self-awareness,
and very clear empathy you are expressing to all of us. That's how I know you're a good mom. If my mom was up here, she'd be like, I did nothing wrong. She's possessed by the devil.
I did everything perfect.
The demon of homosexuality is in her, and we can't do anything about it. So that's how I know. The fact you are blaming yourself
Yeah.
Like that's, and my therapist, I go to therapy twice a week. My therapist told me, like, I was like, I'm a narcissist. She's like, why? I'm like, because my last therapist told me my mom was one. I must be one. She's like, let me tell you something. Narcissists don't show up to therapy and start saying they're horrible people.
I actually have a funny.
That's how I know you're not one. So you're doing a great job.
I have a funny related story to that.
Yeah.
So my daughter had like the same boyfriend through like junior high and high school, whatever, and it abruptly came to a halt when they graduated, and she was just a mess. So obviously I was calling around for therapists for her because she needed to see somebody.
Sure.
And I finally did talk to one because they're kind of hard to get a hold of lately. But I talked to one and I said, like, I feel like a terrible mom because I can't help her. Like, there's nothing I can say that can comfort her. There's nothing I can do that can comfort her. And she said, the fact that you're making this phone call proves to me that, you're a decent mom, which means a lot to me because I've dealt with their dad saying I'm a terrible mother.
It sounds like he might be a narcissist. Can I just tell you, like, let me give you some advice. Like Bell Hooks, who's a black feminist, she's absolutely amazing. She writes this book about the patriarchy, and it's called The Will to Change. And my suggestion is, I mean, you're probably not going to get your son to read it, but you should read it because it will give you a lot of information and about the patriarchy. And I would say the manosphere online has only proliferated like the induction into the patriarchy, but that, like, men becoming, masculine, losing empathy. I was indoctrinated into the patriarchy as a child because I had to survive. You know what I mean? I had to turn off my empathy or I wasn't making it alive out of the house I grew up in. I had to become a monster to survive two monsters, So, like, you should don't feel guilty for surviving. Don't feel like it's your fault. It's not. But also just understand, I mean, that's the nature of the patriarchy. Like Bell Hooks talks about in The Will to Change, the first victims of the patriarchy aren't women, it's men, right? Men are damaged into the patriarchy, right? They're inducted into the patriarchy. They're hurt over and over again until they turn off their own empathy, and then the patriarchy is all about shit rolls downhill. It's about punching down on someone else. I'm hurt, but it's not okay for me to have feelings because that's a female. Only women have feelings. Which, by the way, anger is the most base emotion. The most emotional human beings I've ever come in contact with in my life are always men. Men are always having feelings, but what are men allowed to? And not Bell, Brene Brown talks about this in the Patriot. What are men? There's one rule: don't be weak, right? And weakness is feeling, crying, regulation of emotions, healthy conversation, saying I don't feel like I'm okay. So all of this is building up inside, and in the patriarchy, the only acceptable way to take that out is through punching down, right? Punching down. That could be another man. That could be a woman. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they are regulating their own emotions that are building up inside.
It's been 12 years since I've been out of this relationship. 12 years, and I'm still not okay. It's
like it's yesterday. Yeah, don't. Yeah.
I mean, he worked as a correctional officer, which should not surprise anybody.
That's right.
But he would come home from work
for core civic or geography. He should be an ICE officer. He'd fit in so well. Exactly. He sounds like just the type.
Exactly. He recently retired, so he's not doing anything. But he would literally run his finger across the tops of things to see if there was dust. Every single day.
He should clean it then. That's super weird.
Well, yeah.
That's a Marine Corps thing.
I know, but it's also an abusive thing.
Yeah.
Judgment.
I mean,
everything else.
Signaling that he wants to clean it, that I think it's fine. If not, I'm confused to what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's I'm sorry. I just have
no.
Don't apologize.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
No.
Is your son and daughter close?
They're extremely close. They're only 17 months apart. And they function more as twins than siblings.
Is your daughter outspoken about things?
Yes. Extremely.
I wouldn't be surprised if your son and your daughter are close that she's going to be saying some things that he's picking up on also.
Yep.
That gives me so much comfort. I mean,
totally
that's
agree.
been a thought of mine, but like,
because I mean, listen, I've got 3 kids of my own, right? And so, you know, I can tell them things all day and all night long, and they'll be like, "Shut the hell up, old man," you know. But then one of their brother or their sister says the exact same thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I never thought of it that way."
yeah,
Makes perfect sense.
So, you know, I think the fact that not only are they close in age, but they're close, you know, emotionally and whatnot, I think, you know, that's a way that, you know, can kind of push back on some of the more extreme ideas that he might be talking about. You know, take advantage of that when he comes home on leave, you know, comes home.
yeah, I appreciate that. And,
you know,
he graduates
your daughter
Friday.
will probably be able to have a better impact with that than, and not because of anything that you're doing, or, you know, you're not a good parent or anything like that, but, you know, they're closer in age, and your daughter is probably going to be able to say things to him in a way that is just going to relate better to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
especially addressing red pilling in the manosphere. I mean, especially if she is outspoken, especially addressing that, because she's a victim of it potentially, right? So that'd be good. I agree with Matt. I agree with that.
So
my youngest is a daughter, and she has a lot of influence over her 2 older brothers,
right?
Because of awareness, and I think that's a really that's a great point. It's a great point.
And
Just to reiterate, this is
brought up. I'm sorry.
No, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. I just wanted to say, like, I've brought up to him in the past, like, you're so close to, her name's Leah. You're so close to Leah. Like, why would you want to support somebody that does not support her basic rights, like her autonomy, everything? Like, I've tried to make all those points.
Sure.
I don't think any of them landed.
It's going to come across from, you know, mom as like mom just being mom. You know?
Well, yeah.
Momming.
I mean, he used to get so mad.
Yeah.
Because, when I had a Twitter account, like, okay, so the high school he graduated from, they're very like prominent in football.
Sure.
And he was a football player, and he even won a state championship as a sophomore. And he started, like, which was unheard of for that team. But I would go on these Twitter rants. And I'd get a text from him, and he'd be like, "Mom, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing?"
Right. Yeah. No. And, you know, like, listen, you know, this speaks absolutely nothing to you as a parent, because, you know, just you coming up being concerned about it, like Felice and everybody else has said, it shows that not only are you a good parent, but you're an empathetic and loving parent, because you really are wanting to do the best for your kid. Kids are dumb and are going to ignore their parents no matter how good the advice is 9 times out of 10, right? Mm-hmm. You know, they're going to listen to the really big things like, yeah, all right, I'll put my fucking seatbelt on, sure. You know, but, you know, when it comes to, like, you probably shouldn't support that politician, they're going to be like, I'm going to do what I want, so I'm a grown-up adult, and blah, 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 right? His sister, though, is going to be able to make it relatable to him from a kind of like a peer-to-peer type of thing, and not this mother-son dynamic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Yeah. And I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So, you know, I definitely continue to have the conversations, you know, but, you know, if your daughter is, you know, amenable and, you know, to having those conversations, also have her be the mediator, be like, all right, hey, let's just go. Let's go for a drive. Let's go for a drive. Me and you go for a drive. Right. And then just come at it from a different, you know, different way.
I guess, like, my biggest thing also is that even as an infant, like, I could see parts of him that were me. I mean, literal carbon copies.
Sure.
Like, when I get anxious, I pick at my cuticles. he does the same exact
What
thing.
are you doing there, Felice?
Looking at my finger because I
I was just like, what you got going on down there?
You should see my left thumb right now. It's a mess.
my fingers are disgusting because
But,
the amount of times that I'm like tearing skin off.
Yes. And I thought like, oh my gosh, because I do consider myself extremely empathetic. Like I'm a social worker.
the disease. I know it's horrible.
It is. It's torture. And I would look at his bleeding cuticles and think, oh my gosh, I passed this on to him. Like, not like boasting, oh, he's going to be just like me. I'm so glad. But like,
yeah, but it helps you cope. So it's a tool that you use.
Listen, I've read thousands of psychological studies, and I don't know if this will make you feel better, but the most important attachment is the primary attachment of a child to their mother, right? And like now, the dad putting stress on you and abusing you, that is not good for the child, right? That can hurt them. But the most important attachment and in early childhood development will always be mother to child. That is the primary attachment, and that's why the dads need to be so supportive, because when stress is put on the primary attachment, it can create early childhood development issues. But I mean, I'm telling you, I don't think you need to be so worried. I mean, I think you've done as much as you can do, and you're responsible for. You have done, right?
Yeah, you can have normal worry. You can have normal worry about your kids, like we all do, like normal worry, like the everyday of our life. But I agree with Felice and Matt.
I just feel like I've had to worry for the last dozen years because we even had. I mean, their dad said, you know, if you leave me, I'm going to make your life hell.
Sure.
And he delivered on that promise because we had a 2-year custody battle, a 2-year custody battle where I was terrified that I was going to lose custody of my children. And it just like, I've done everything to not talk negatively about him when all I have is, you know, negative, opinions.
Yeah. No, and you know, that's another testament to just you as a parent, kind of keeping that separate from your kids.
Well, I think he banked on me not fighting back, and I did fight back even at like my weakest. That was my weakest moment as a person, honestly. But
if I could give you any kind of hope about your son coming out okay in the end, when I joined the Marine Corps back in 2002, I was very much one of those, you know, manosphere, like pre-YouTube, you know, men type things, right? So I was conservative because my parents were. I was, you know, women have a place, all this other bullshit, right? All this other bullshit. I was not a good person. Okay. When, you know, tragedies were happening, we had, in the Marine Corps office that I was working in at the time, you know, like guys would be listening to Alex Jones, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, all right, yeah, you know, I was dumb. All right. But there will be something that will happen to him. He'll experience something with somebody that he never imagined that he would. Right. For me, it was when I got out of the Marine Corps and started doing theater. It really opened my eyes, you know, so there will be a thing that will be presented to him. And
unexpected angels.
Yep, exactly. And they will come across, you know, something that will reshape the way that they see the world around them. And it'll be at that moment that he will go back to the type of person that you are, and the way that you raised him. And he'll be like, maybe I should readjust and come at this again.
Again, you're going to make me cry.
Because that's exactly what happened to me. Okay, that like this story here. This is your son sounds exactly like me.
Were you a history buff? Because my child
I loved
is a
history
buff.
Yeah,
I have a history
loved
degree.
history.
I love history too.
I loved, like, I went to middle school like 30 minutes south of Gettysburg and would spend so
Oh my
much
God,
time.
you're in
Doing Civil War reenactments, Matt.
I wasn't into them, but we went to them every year. I was in Maryland. I was in Thurmont, Maryland. Yeah. But yeah, so like, you know, I very much was that, like, I want to talk about history and learn stuff. And, you know, I was very much the you know, I want to play hockey and football and, you know, all of that stuff. So, you know, there's hope. Don't
I mean, that's the very thing I've been clinging to, is that, you know, he does know his shit when it comes to history. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a child that was obsessed with the Titanic at like 2 years old. So,
not to visit it in a submarine.
No,
don't go on a sub.
He will not be doing that. But that
I was going to say, it might, like, the best thing for your child might be leaving home. And that's, you know what I'm like, for me.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah. Like the people who raised me, I was a Division I athlete, and like, it was the people, like Matt saying, like, it was people that came along in my life, coaches and people who showed me how to like organize my life, you know, like how to grow up, how to, like, the right way to act, not what I was taught in my house, which was literal hand-to-hand combat. Like when I was 10 years old, a psychiatrist came to my school. They thought I was a sociopath because I was just like, well, this is what I have to do at my house to survive. Like, am I behaving weirdly? Like, this is just what I have to do to get my parents to leave me alone. And the psychiatrist was like, no, you're fine. Like, I think they were checking if I had empathy. I was like, this is just what I have to do to survive. But the more I grew up and got away and like was around other people who are like, oh, this is how you act like an adult. This is what's appropriate. Like you're saying, if your son's a sponge and is interested in learning like I was, like, yeah, like I loved history. I loved books. I was like, oh, I can go anywhere with a book. I can learn about anything I want. And the longer I was away from home, the better I got. I was like, oh, none of that is normal? Right. Okay.
I agree with that. I mean, I went to college just 40 minutes away from my hometown. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I was literally a registered Republican my entire adult life. And, so I wanted to go to law school, and I had one professor that was a lawyer, and he's like, anybody that wants to go to law school, you need to be a legal assistant in either New York or DC for a couple years before you apply, because that'll give you an edge. Yeah. And so, I did that. I worked in DC for 2 years, and I got accepted to law school. I didn't go, which I'm still upset about. But it took me, like, you know, living in the DC metro area for a couple years to, like, oh my gosh, like I've never experienced this stuff before, and it made me reevaluate everything. And hopefully that happens with him. Like, I pray it happens with him.
Yeah. I
think it will.
I think between your continued involvement in his life, his sister's continued involvement in his life, and just everything that you've told me about his personality and the way that I think he's going to be all right.
And let me just say, he's also a ginger.
Oh yeah, no, he's going to be fine.
Recessive totally gene. Fine, it's not his fault. You're the carrier. Aren't women the carrier of that recessive gene? You did that to him, probably.
He's missed the entire gingers are black thing.
Yeah. Well, he's in the Marine Corps, so it would be dark green. Yeah.
That's so funny. I don't want to take up your time anymore, because I know there's probably people waiting.
No, I appreciate you coming out.
I seriously,
thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
Told you, it was really nice to meet you. Thank you for sharing with us.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, hang in there. We're here for you.
I'm hanging.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. See you later.
Not to be creepy, but truly, as long as someone has effective empathy, then they are on a trajectory of growth. It might take a little bit longer for some.
They might go.
But as long as you are not lacking effective empathy, eventually things will be okay.
Yeah. Somebody was asking if I was at Camp David. I was not. My dad, on the other hand, was the company first sergeant for the Marine Security Detachment at Camp David. So I was never stationed there, but I did get to play around on Camp David when the president wasn't there. So
that's cool.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say the empathy conversation. I like those. We know the curse with the empath, obviously, is that empaths never get back what we give, but that's by design because we have a lot of capacity to give. I think empathy is a superpower. I wish people understood it that way. I've always believed that. Speaking of an empath, we're about to
It truly is. It's
Hey,
it's the greatest gift we all have. Like, and I feel you should feel even like for people that lack it, like my mother. People always like wonder why I have so much empathy for her. It's because life is very lonely without empathy.
Agreed. What's up,
Toodle? How are you, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Good evening, everybody. How are we all? Everybody doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah. When you first requested guest up, I definitely wanted to come up and crash out and scream and yell about all the craziness.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, what you had said, Steve, about, is this building up to this weekend as far as the parade? And I was thinking that there was I think it was a call out on, might have been Reddit. It was one of the 5051 forums about the protests coming up. And they're saying that everybody should go there and dress as chickens and tacos. So I'm hoping that.
I'd love that.
And what I really want the universe to give us, which we deserve because of this timeline is so screwed up, is that I want to see a Tiananmen Square tank man moment. But I want it to be a guy dressed as a taco, bearing down and stopping a column of Abrams tanks.
That would be epic.
Yes.
That would be epic.
Epic.
Oh,
If that happens,
Wow.
it's all worth.
Internet, do your thing. Yeah, agreed.
I've been putting it out there, so I'm like,
Make an AI video of that too.
I'm hoping
I
it's
expect
good.
to see it.
Totally.
I'm close to DC, but not close enough.
We're manifesting this. That's amazing.
And
We should all have a taco or chicken costume just ready to go at any moment.
totally. And it's what you were saying, Matt, about the red pilled military. I don't know if you guys saw the Fort Bragg speech that Orange guy was giving.
I didn't see it.
He was
My
saying-
God. No, and listen, can you imagine how crazy it is? Like, I don't know if anyone understands, like a president is not supposed to be on a military base giving a political speech, to active duty military. You're supposed to be unbelievably neutral in everything you say, and he's calling Gavin Newsom scum, telling lies. I mean, it was the craziest. I don't know if anyone can take anymore, but yeah, it was disgusting.
It was all they both Pete and Donnie spoke, and one thing that was really disgusting was when Pete was talking. He was saying that we got rid of the wokeness and political correctness from the military. And all the soldiers behind him, which were just all in the background of the speech, was and a lot of them were cheering and going crazy, which I was like, okay. But it was worse when Trump was saying that he's going to rename all these bases back to the Confederate names.
Yeah, Robert E. Lee. It's Fort Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee was a traitor to the United States of America. I mean, you could feel any way you want. He was a traitor to the United States of America.
And he also said that we probably shouldn't be celebrating that and statues and things like that. And maybe we don't do that.
Well, he did put
Robert E. Lee
was against that. We're going to restore those. So
yeah.
Yeah, but when he did say that in his part of his speech, a lot of the crowd behind him, they cheered and hollered as well for that too.
Sure.
Which I totally expect that because there's a large red-pilled community within the military, and there always has been. And but I think I don't think Jennifer's Velasquez is going to have to worry because I think she's such a good mom that he's going to pull through this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what you were saying, Matt, about I guess Steve said it too. What would you call it? Angels, unknown,
unexpected
angels. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that happened for me as well. I mean, I didn't go in the military, but through high school, I was kind of a red pill jerk.
Sure.
But then I met my future wife, who our first date we went to the March on Washington in '93. for gay and lesbian rights.
Yeah.
And that was it. That radicalized me.
That's it. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Love you, Doodle. And you're now you're a weirdo artist with a great artist daughter and a great artist wife. Look at you go. And you're a genius.
Graduated.
We love Doodle.
Now she's going to go into psychology.
Nice.
Congrats, man. That's great. That's awesome.
Love that.
She wants to fix millennials' kids, is what she says.
Look.
We've fucked them up pretty good. So.
Well, it'll keep her in business for sure.
Oh yeah, no, she will not be looking for work. It'll definitely find her. That's for sure.
But she's definitely gonna stay as an artist, but she's just gonna do it for fun. And she saw her two struggling parents, with a career in art. It's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'll just do that as a hobby. And if something happens.
Indeed.
Love it.
So keep praying to the universe that we have Taco Man.
Absolutely. I'm manifesting.
Taco Tank Man.
Taco Man.
I want it. I'm going to manifest it into existence.
If I'm getting unalived as a traitor to America, it will be in a taco suit for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That will be my last request.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All righty, man. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you, bud.
Toodle.
Have a good night.
You too.
It's funny, Matt. I was thinking about how you talked about how I won't put it in your words in your mouth, but how theater and the arts kind of saved you, and I have a similar vibe to that whole feeling. I played sports all through high school, and I remember walking by the auditorium. Didn't want to go home early because there was always a lot of violence in my house, and the auditorium door was open. I looked in, and they were rehearsing for a musical. And there were all girls. I'm thinking, that's where all the girls are. Why am I out here? And it literally changed my life. It literally changed my life. And all my friends are like, why did you do theater? I'm like, because this is where all the girls are. Yeah. And all of a sudden, some of them joined as well, and it changed their lives too. So here's to arts and humanity education. Let's go.
It's crazy how much art and music can change somebody's life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right there. No doubt about it. Real life's back.
Yeah. Having a hard time getting you loaded in here, my friend. So I'm not sure what's going on.
Hello, can you hear us? I can see that. Are you there?
It looks like it's still just loading on my end here. All right. I'm going to drop you down again. Connection timed out. So we could try that again, my friend. Don't give up. Third time's a charm. We're going to make it work.
I think that's so cool. That's a good story, Steve. I like that story.
It literally changed my life. It was crazy. We discussed. I played Division I baseball in college, but I was all part of the theater community. I was actually at a school theater meeting today, as a matter of fact, for the High School Musical this fall, which is to be announced soon.
Uncle Rusty,
what's up, Rusty?
A couple of quick things, and then I'll not occupy a lot of time. To, I believe, Jennifer, who was up earlier, the greatest moment you will have as a parent, and I think most, if not every parent gets it, is when your child is looking at you, shaking their finger at you, railing against you, and telling you how the world works, and then they realize they're quoting you.
Yep. Yep.
Full circle moment, for sure.
And when that moment of realization crosses their face,
yep,
and they're son of a bitch, and just walk away.
Yep.
You can just smile and go, yeah, okay, we're good.
Yeah, we did it. We got there.
Yeah, or you catch them in a moment and they say, Dad, you were actually kind of right about that. I'll be like, I'm sorry, what was that? Could you repeat that? Could I get that on tape, please?
That's what it's like if your parents have empathy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Steve,
sounds lovely. No, I'm just kidding. My dad does.
And Steve, to your point earlier about, going into the theater, Lord knows I've done a bit of acting or two. But,
indeed.
But when I was in high school, I stopped playing football and I started mascotting because it was an opportunity for me to be, not the cheerleaders. None of them liked me. But the summer between my junior and senior year, I gained their respect my junior year when they saw how hard I was working.
Sure.
But that summer between my junior and senior year, I bumped into some of my football buddies who were about to go into Hell Week.
Yep.
2 practices a day, 100 degrees, 100% humidity.
Hills.
Absolutely. And they were like, we're going into Hell Week. What are you doing? I said, I'm going to cheerleader camp.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, you're going to cheerleader camp. I'm like, it's me, one gay guy, and 800 women.
Yep.
To think that when I would see the track team get on the bus, I was like, why am I not doing a co-ed sport with log bus rides?
Like even I have even those odds were great for me. That's awesome. But to back to kind of the original point, it boggles my mind when I think about these mouth breathers all around the country outside of California who for some reason think we are built like them. LA County has more population than most of the red states.
Yeah, combined.
The whole state. And so when you've got a few hundred protesters, when you got a few hundred protesters and LAPD says, we got this, they got this.
Right.
They did.
They don't need the National Guard. They sure as hell don't need the Marine Corps. And and this is just so that Orange Weasel Teats can step up and act as though he's the big tough guy.
Does have bigger boobs than me. That's a fact.
I was gonna say, my friend Chris calls him old yam tits.
That's a good one.
Paints his body orange under his shirt.
I don't want to know.
No, absolutely not. He doesn't even blend it to
That's true, yeah, because sometimes one ear isn't painted. Yeah, sometimes he has one ear that's not painted. That's true. Yeah,
not. He stops like just past his eye.
He can't paint the bullet wound. Like, I mean, it's a sensitive area.
Nobody can locate still to this day.
And who does he think he's fooling? I mean,
MAGA.
Well,
MAGA, what? Are you kidding me? No, you know what I do? We were effed and it was over. When I was watching the RNC and they all had the napkins taped on their ears, I was like,
pads on the side of their head.
And I was like, that's it. These people are so idiotic. It's over.
I'm just referring to the orange part. It's
the part really, where Trump says men shouldn't be wearing makeup, but gets up every morning and puts on makeup, and somehow MAGA doesn't notice that their orange leader is wearing makeup.
A lot of lifting.
I'm not saying this, but another Republican congressman said Matt Gaetz looks like a blow-up sex doll because he wears so much makeup and has so much filler. And then I have to listen to Republican men say it's not manly to have makeup on. It's so. Every Republican has makeup on in Congress, a full face.
Oh, and Pete Kegsbreath's installing his new, his vanity mirror in his dressing room right outside the press room in the Pentagon. Taxpayer dollars. No way.
Vance is literally like Jack Sparrow. Take the eyeliner off. You look ridiculous.
Well, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if deep down, Trump is just really angry that he's not the prettiest drag queen.
Is the worst. I know he's such a bad drag queen. I have this AI video of Putin and Trump skipping on the beach in bikinis.
Oh God!
Why?
No! Why? Damn it! No, I need AI to be Skynet and wipe us off the face of the earth. Yeah. That's what I need. Not Trump and Putin skipping in bikinis.
Anytime I ask ChatGPT to proofread something, I always think it afterwards because. Like, thank you for doing that. And they're like, you're welcome. I was like, yeah, getting
someone just brought up the no tax on tanning beds. What a great question. Like, of all the weird things, Republicans are like, need tanning beds and there's no excise tax on tanning beds anymore. Yeah. Like, what is going on with these men? They broke Grindr during the DNC. Did Grindr break? No, but it did in Milwaukee when the Republicans were having the RNC. And if you don't believe me, look it up.
Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they are the bastions of morality and ethics.
Hey, again, I ain't yucking your yum. Get yours. Just stop trying to prevent everybody else from doing it too.
Best thing about Republicans is that they're all secretly gay. I just want to say that. I don't think it's bad they're gay. I just think it's weird they vote against gay rights, and most of them are also having sex with men.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does make me wish I still drank.
It's all right. I probably
God, amen. This week, Jesus Christ, I'm falling off the wagon.
So I told Steve the other day, I did take all my money and I invested in a dairy farm and a duck sanctuary.
Smart.
So I have an unlimited amount of cheese and quackers.
Smart.
That. I like where your head's at.
Steve,
Someone said Gavin Newsom's going to address the nation at 9:30. I think that's brilliant. I think that Trump, it's going to infuriate Trump. If Gavin's addressing the nation, I think that's hilarious because it's going to kill
Rusty,
Trump.
I was going to say, Rusty, that joke was funnier the first time, but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I know that.
I feel like
I am
this
a
is
lot.
that like running gag through airplanes. Like I picked a hell of a day to quit smoking cigarettes. Picked a hell of a day to quit sniffing glue.
I have
to stop taking amphetamines.
Yeah, I have my problems with Gavin Newsom, but you know what? I respect what he's trying to do right now.
We all have our problems with him.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we do. Yeah.
God, everyone just know you might have to vote for him. Just swallow it. Just get ready to swallow it now. None of us want to, but it might happen. But hopefully not. But it might happen. But it's better. Look, every time we don't just suck it up. I still have a list in my phone. I'm just going to say this again because I'm still mad about it. I have a list in my phone of every creator. I don't care if you have 5,000 followers or 500,000 who went around this app saying, I won't vote for Kamala Harris. I still have a list of you in my notes app on my phone.
You're on Felice's shit list.
We're just gonna
don't be on that list.
Now, do you see why it was important to vote wherever you were, whichever state? Do you get it? Is it becoming clearer how bad things could get?
Oh, it's when I get into some of these lives and I'm dealing with MAGA, that's one thing. But when I'm dealing with either the non-voter or the third-party voter,
I love them, Rusty. You know how much I love them.
Oh yes, I do. But I am far more savage with them, and. It's because it's your fault. MAGA's going to MAGA. We know that.
Yep.
Cults are going to cult. But when it is somebody who simply said, I didn't like her policy on whatever, and it's like, I'll just let fascism come rolling in here because I didn't like her policy on Israel. I didn't like her laugh.
Right.
What has she ever done? You know what she's never done? She's never been a fascist dictator.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's what she's never done.
She never tried to overthrow the government.
Yeah, and also she is pound for pound. If I handed you a stack of resumes of every person that's ever been president of the United States and I shuffled in Kamala Harris, she's also more qualified than any person that's ever been president. Like pound for pound, one of the most qualified people to ever run for president. So if you feel that way about her, then it's time to deconstruct from misogyny. That's what time it is.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I've gotten to the point, and I know Steve knows this, I don't debate anymore. I lecture, I ridicule, or both.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was debate. But
no,
on TikTok.
I get so sick and tired of these mouth breathers.
Andrew, rightfully.
I get so sick and tired of these mouth breathers saying, well, I'm just here to debate. A, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
B, you can't even spell debate.
Correct.
C, I don't debate with stupid.
Well, that's why I am lecturing. When I debate on TikTok, I see it as a favor and a lecture. Like, bless your heart, I'm wasting my time, but yeah, I'm about to drop some knowledge on you because your brain doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to present debate. Well, you're not going to present me with a fact or a piece of logic that can't be debunked by a kid in junior high debating class.
Yep.
And you to think otherwise, and this conflation of opinion with fact.
They're not even opinions; they're feelings that MAGA has, and men have never. Like, I feel like men are like, "Oh, the internet's a place where my feelings should be valid," and I don't understand why people don't want to listen to me randomly scream my feelings at them. It's so weird.
Well, I got into it wasn't a shouting match yet, but I got into a discussion with a MAGA mouth breather, and I told him to stop licking the window and listen to what's going on here. And I said you don't understand the difference between a fact and an opinion. Mm-hmm. He said, yes, I do. I said, okay, let me paint you a picture. And I've used this a few times since. Said, on the table between you and I are 2 bowls of ice cream. One is chocolate, one is vanilla. You say you prefer chocolate. I say I prefer vanilla. What is the fact? Well, that I prefer chocolate. No, the fact is there's 2 bowls of ice cream on the table.
Right, exactly.
That's undisputable.
Exactly.
Now, if you turn around and tell me chocolate is better than vanilla, that is a quantifiable statement, and I'm going to ask you what's your evidence. And you get butthurt because you're ignoring the only fact is there's 2 bowls of ice cream on the table, and you're trying to tell me that your opinion is a fact. That's not how this works. And
when did you get so damn philosophical?
No, I just followed you for doing that.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel a little creepy now.
Easy to trick MAGA, though. They can't. They don't know what's going on.
No, he then, started threatening me. That was fun.
Sure.
Shocker.
That's how you know you've made a new friend.
Yeah.
It's totally true.
Yep. Yeah. And
I have 200,000 followers, and 100,000 of them are MAGA men who hate me.
Well,
not kidding you. 100,000 of my followers are men who are 45 to 65. I'm just and you should see the messages I get. They're fans. They love me. Just take it as a compliment.
People underestimate the humiliation kink.
Totally.
I'm going to become an S-word. That's my new, once we go into full recession, I'm just moving only over to OF, and I'm going to humiliate MAGA men for money. That's my new career move when the recession really gets into full swing.
I'm trying to start a site called Only Clowns. Yeah, I'm trying to start a site called Only Clowns.
Do it.
And
that's just whitehouse.gov right now.
Oh, I have sent people to whitehouse.com.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, especially MAGA when they're going on. I think so, but I say, look, if you need to look this up, go to whitehouse.com. I'll go. It's like, yeah, please. That'll be fun.
It's not there anymore.
Oh, it's not there.
Yeah. No, I remember making that mistake in 8th grade.
Wasn't mistake supposed to be in air quotes?
No. It's a free, it's a free election betting site now.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Know that.
Yeah.
Hilarious. That is hilarious. I like that. MAGAs, bless their hearts. Just bless them. But I do think, and I say this because I've read a lot of psych papers to understand myself. Not to understand, MAGA's not hard to understand. But when you're raised in an authoritarian household, the reason these people are a fan of Trump, think about how Trump speaks, how he belittles people, how he's rude, how he's cruel, how he has no empathy. This is the nature of growing up a lot of us grew up in authoritarian households. So if people respond to that type of leader, the only way to communicate with them is through humiliation. Right?
And how he uses the same 14.
It's the language they understand.
Words.
You've got to get on their level and be like, you are not smart and cannot read.
Mm-hmm. I think his vocabulary is 50 words. Because if you listen to his speeches, it seems like he's got his core 50 that he goes to. Yeah. It's everybody's talking about it. Immigrants, Gavin Newsom, woke media, and then he just, it's the greatest hits. It's like the Ronco CD. Well, they trips up the stairs. Exactly. Rusty, did you notice that Matt and Felicia are like, Ronco? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. That kind of hurt a little bit.
What is it? I don't know.
Oh, dear God. Really? You don't know what Ronco is?
Oh, I don't know.
Ron Popeil.
Ron Popeil. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
he
back
was like a master huckster. He was like a master huckster on the
back
cables,
back in the 14th century when I was growing up. There were
It's when TVs had dials.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rabbit ears.
Okay.
And rabbit ears.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I was the remote control.
I was the remote control, exactly. When pre-infomercial, there were these commercials for the most ridiculous products. the in the shell egg scrambler, the pocket fisherman.
Oh yeah,
it was a rod and reel that folded up and kind of fit in a pocket. All these
pasta making machines. Yep,
pasta making machines. All these stupid little inventions by this guy named Ron Popeil, and the company was Ronco. The Ronco Vegematic.
Real or fake?
They were real. It was absolutely real.
It sounds like he might have been Winnebago Man's dad.
No,
do you guys know who Winnebago Man is?
Listen,
you know who he was, Felice? He was Mike Lindell before Mike Lindell.
Ronco still exists. Ronco.com is still a thing.
There you go.
I'm going to look it up right now. I don't know who that is. But Mike Lindell was running a socialist company. Before Mike Lindell met Trump, he had hope to be a normal person. Mike Lindell was running a literal socialist company where his workers had equity, and it was super successful. And then he gave all his money to Trump and went back on the illicit substances. Poor Mike Lindell, and is now going through a defamation trial where his legal in Colorado. I don't know if anyone's been following Mike Lindell's defamation trial, but his lawyer's strategy is nobody takes this man seriously. Mike Lindell just says words.
They still sell the pocket fisherman on the Ronco.com website.
$42 and you can get yourself a pocket fisherman.
Oh, everything on Ronco was $9.99.
Oh yeah,
that was
and it makes and it makes a great Christmas gift.
Ooh. It makes a great Christmas gift. Yep.
God,
look.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's crazy. Oh man. I'm so.
Oh, I know this guy it's this guy with the face and the apron. Yeah. I know who this guy is. No, I know. He's the info. I know this guy. I've seen this guy before. I just didn't know who he was.
And the apron. That's exactly right.
And the apron.
Always has that damn apron on. I do know who this
is. And
the
magic wipe.
Ron Popeil.
Wait a minute. What's the magic wipe? I don't even want to know. I'm not going to.
That's the one that I was just looking at. It goes to an error 404 page.
Of course it does. Oh, yeah, sure does. We don't know what's on there.
Doesn't exist.
You keep your magic wipe to yourself, mister.
Off of the internet.
I was going to say after some bad carne asada, there might be some magic wipe.
Knife set looks legit.
I'll be here all week.
Exactly.
Try the veal.
Oh, Matt, this is a great opportunity to invite you on our camping trip. Matt, do you want to go camping? You can bring whoever you want.
That's right.
You can bring a plus one.
Right.
We're going to have a camp off. We're going into the wilderness and see who dies last.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'm comfortable there.
It's September. Well, we'll see. I got college credit for survival. I had to go and survive 72 hours with nothing.
Yeah, it's just in the Marine Corps.
Well, okay. Well, then if you think you can out survive us, then we'll see.
Oh no, I didn't say that.
We're going into the Vermont woods, and last one alive wins.
Great. Sure. We're doing this in September.
Best time to come. Best time.
Yes, because we don't want to be too uncomfortable. It's the real truth. We don't want to be too uncomfortable. Yeah, we don't want to be facing real challenges, just the ones we pose.
Sure. Yeah.
That's right. And Vermont doesn't exist, so I'll have to blindfold you as I escort you through the woods, but that's fine.
We need to have we're going to have to engage in like an axe throwing competition. Maybe we'll chop a tree down, which sounds illegal, so we'll think about that.
I participate in an axe throwing competition if there is an Army drum corps on the other side of the target, and I'm about 3 drums.
Love that video, the Pete Hegseth video where he hits somebody with an axe.
Yeah, so that's the only stipulation that I have.
I don't know. Pete Hegseth almost hit somebody with an axe.
Yeah.
The drum majorette just falls. He holding their leg. Oh my gosh.
Having a camp off.
That guy is literally not getting paid enough to do what he did.
No.
Okay.
It's like, can we all come up with things you need to do? Yes, because Steve and Matt will lose. Sure. One of us is a true survivor here.
Okay. I just need you guys to know how much. I need you guys to know how much my head hurts right now. It started with, we're going to have a camp off. Hey, Matt, you want to go camping with us? I'm going to lead you out into the woods with a blindfold on.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. And
Well, Well, just remember, I don't have to run faster than the bear. I just have to run faster than you.
You have to outrun.
Well,
outrun
I
you.
run 10 miles a day, so I'm also confident in that.
I am the slowest.
You're good.
I will not make it first. Maybe only one of us has to die. The other two will lug
Bullshit.
that person's
Listen,
dead body weight out of the
I
woods.
know how to fight a bear.
Lug
I'm not
it.
going to make it out of it, but the bear's going to have a black eye or something at least. So
Oh, that's
You
right,
cause a
because you're-
distraction while the rest of us
I'm
whose
gonna
legs work
distract
get
the
away.
fuck out of that bear.
Well, that's right, Matt, because you're a white guy in America and you think you can beat a grizzly. I forgot.
I
totally
Try to
forgot.
punch a bear.
never
He's
in
like
a
the
million
watch
years
the
did I
Grizzly
say that.
Man documentary before
not-
you engage
not
in
in a
that.
million
Hey, little
years did
bear,
I
come
say that I
here.
could
Hey, little bear.
win
This is
against the bear,
Sparkle the
but
bear. I've
I'm
known
dumb
him
enough
for
to fight
3
it.
years. Have you guys seen
Oh
Grizzly
yeah.
Man?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm dumb enough to throw myself at the bear. I know for a fact I'm not winning, but I'm dumb enough to do it.
Oh, gorillas ain't that tough. I can beat a gorilla. Of course I could.
I think we already know who loses the camp off.
It's fine. It's me. Whatever. My misery will be over at that point, so it's fine.
We need to get a sponsor.
At that
Well,
point,
let's get sponsors.
At that point,
We should all get people to sponsor us.
listen, if
Totally
the if
can't stop
the
laughing.
if the
Oh my
goal
God.
of this is to see who survives out of this, who's really the loser? The survivor has to keep living in this shit
So
of a
true.
world.
God, and I have such dark
point.
humor because that's so true. The loser comes out of the woods and has to
Yeah,
live in this country.
Exactly.
Hey, if I am
It's a
eaten
good
by a
point.
bear, I have an epic ending.
Yeah, exactly.
I was sure that my days of going out in a blaze of glory are over. Hell no.
Hey, listen, it'd be great content.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
could monetize the shit out of that.
Yeah,
Having a fire making competition.
that's
Okay,
fine.
I'm down.
I
And
will
then the
bring-
forest burns down and we're the people that set for
We're
a lot
the
of
damn
fire.
liberals.
people that did it. God damn it.
I will bring what we
Fucking
used to
white
call.
people setting
I will
the
bring. I'll bring
woods
what
on
we used
fire
to
in
call
Vermont.
Instapoof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
Instapoof.
Yeah.
Gasoline. You pour it on there. Poof.
Sure,
There you go.
yeah.
Got a fire.
Yeah. The redneck
there's-
matchstick.
Yeah, enough of this two sticks rubbing together bullshit. Nope. I got
No,
Instapoof.
let's go.
It's like Hunger Games times Survivor. Like, we don't know exactly how this is going to go. But my therapist said I should have something to look forward to. So it's defeating Steve
this is
in
what it is?
September in the woods in Vermont at a series of competitions.
Killing
This is
your
what we
friends in
came
the
up
woods.
with.
This is what you're looking
I
forward
sent
to.
you the list of campgrounds.
Are you sure you're not a sociopath?
Yeah, but
I'm looking forward to killing my friends
I've
in
had
the woods.
several psychiatrists say for sure I'm not. So yes, I'm sure.
I'm looking forward.
I just love that
one
you-
eye open.
I just love that
You guys
started
know
that
I've already
sentence.
done this once. This already happened.
You've
The
already
camp off.
killed friends
My
in the
22nd birthday was a camp off.
Oh my god!
I just love that you started. I just love you started that sentence with. I've had several psychiatrists tell me,
Yeah.
and then
The
whatever you
documentation to prove I have effective empathy, so I'm sure I'm not one.
or
Matt will be-
were the psychiatrists a little afraid and said, "No,
Matt will be out.
you're totally empathetic."
This guy's Matt will be out in the
Totally
corner
fine. I'm going to
taking
back
on the
away
bear.
slowly. Just
Back
drop
away
this
slowly.
piece of paper confirming you're fine.
So who's going to walk ahead of Felice? I'm not walking in front of her. You walk in front of her.
We're walking shoulder to shoulder. Are you kidding me? We're fucking.
That's
Wizard of
listen,
Oz it in
crazy
this
can
shit.
recognize crazy. He's insane. I'm just
We're
telling you
Wizard
because
of
I
Oz-ing
can
this
always
shit for the
identify.
woods. Nobody's.
It's
ahead of
important to
anybody.
know the craziest person in a group is, and I do think Matt has a chance.
I am pretty crazy.
I'm saying
I'm just the
my
flag guy.
crazy can identify it in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tracy, you're right. We need a fucking sponsor for this. We totally need a
Will,
sponsor
we're
for
going to get
this.
several sponsors.
Ronco.
Ronco.
Ron, let's contact him.
Ronco.
Reaching out to
You can
Ronco.
only use Ronco products to survive.
I'm gonna bring my
the Mega White, whatever the hell it's called.
Platinum digital.
Not eat
rotisserie.
unless you use that pocket fisherman thing to catch your own food. Otherwise, you're not
Sure.
eating.
with my
I'm with ya.
5-tray beef jerky machine.
So does our camping competition
Be
include?
dehydrating fruit, I find.
That's how we can dispose of the body. We'll just
Yeah.
dehydrate it.
That's great. This is
An extra big dehydrator.
fun. The FBI is so interested in this live right now.
Might have to eat one of us. I don't want to get weird, but
Well, let's see. Felice, you're too thin. It'd be
I
sinewy.
would be extra juicy. Are you crazy? I would taste
It'd be
great.
sinewy.
I've got a lot of fat.
Actually, yeah, for some reason, I'm pissed. You don't want to eat me. Is that weird?
Steve, that depends on how much you tenderize her.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Time for that. This is about survival. This is not about taste.
I have a lot of fat. There's not a lot of nutritional value in eating me. I'm just letting you know.
Felice,
Not going to be the Donner Party.
Felice, that describes.
You're gonna have a heart attack if you eat.
Felice, that describes my dating history since my divorce. It's all about
Donner
survival,
Party?
not taste.
Donner Party?
No, it's all about survival, not taste.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair. I think we're going to be great friends.
I feel like when was this website updated last?
I'm not kidding about the camp off. This is real. If Matt doesn't want to come in and Matt doesn't want to lose, we'll find another Patsy to die in the woods while Steve and I survive.
A sacrificial Patsy.
Man, I'm feeling all kinds of accepted right now.
I think I dated her back in high school. Is that the Patsy?
You might have. I'm still single. Oh my God. We should do a live and bring on my exes. It would be, I mean, they should have a support group.
Seriously, though, a sponsor. We need to talk about that because that's got to happen now. Whether it be
we should,
gear.
It's a great idea, or we need to raise money. Yeah, camping is not cheap. Well, it depends.
Nope.
I mean, it depends on what supplies we're allowed to bring.
Well, like I said, I got a ton of gear, but since it's a camp off, you're gonna have to fend for yourself. You guys are on your own. Sorry.
I think we should literally bring your living room to the woods and just be living in extreme comfort, or we should be miserable the entire time.
Control?
Like either we have a couch in the forest and a big screen TV and a generator, or we have nothing. Well, both are, Mike. I can do either.
Car camping is totally fine. I had no issue with that.
I like that too. I've done that.
Yep. If you got to go turn the air conditioning on, if it's too hot, too sticky.
Like I said, I don't want to be too uncomfortable. I just want to beat you at a series of challenges.
Let's not get crazy at this. Let's just have our best human recipes. Let's not get too crazy now.
I don't want to brag. I'm not joking. Soup. If I told you the things I got college credit, I got college credit for Dutch oven cooking. So, I mean, when I say I'm a great camp cook, I really am. I can cook anything on an open fire.
I think my Dutch oven is one of the reasons my wife divorced me.
I came to understand that's a weird saying that means something else. I took real pioneer Dutch oven cooking, not the gross, weird thing that you guys are talking about.
Not the MAGA kink.
Mormons love them some Pioneer.
Gone so far off the rails.
This is a sign of our mental health.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's good. It's good for us.
It's good. Sometimes you got to just act like normal. Well, the camp off is serious. This is not a joke. That's serious.
Yeah, no. I just wasn't expecting to be told that I would be the first one to die in the woods today.
I know. Well, I'm always going to bet on myself. I have a unique set of skills.
I'm usually married to
Liam Neeson
10 or 12 years first before somebody's like, oh no, you would absolutely die first.
I spent 3 summers as a mountain guide. I'm comfortable up there, so I'm good. I'll only take you guys to spots that are marginally safe. Not to worry about the rest. Yeah,
cool.
It's totally.
What's the biggest predator in the Vermont woods?
This guy named Carl.
Predator? Well, I wouldn't call him. It depends.
It's probably a pedo.
Damn it, Carl. Can't believe he's still.
I would say it's probably a pine marten. Actually, they're fucking nasty and scary as shit.
We can all find someone else and stalk them. Maybe we all don't have to die. Maybe someone else can, and it can be a bonding experience.
What are you doing in my woods? These woods are socialized, liberal. The 1% of the 1%
can all have a secret.
Are we about to I know what you did last summer? This fucking trip.
Sure. Totally.
The only reason I'm not an unaliver is because, it's the cleanup.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're no sociopath, that's for sure.
Right.
No.
I'm a lazy. I'd be a lazy unaliver. And I'm not dragging anyone's dead body weight. I'm not doing any sort of dismembering.
Pile up until the smell gets too bad and the cops come.
I'm going to leave you right here.
It's fine.
You are a bucket of empathy, that's for sure.
Fleece is the most empathetic sociopath you've ever met.
I'm really sorry.
I have the paperwork. I just have got to again say I have the paperwork.
I'm really sorry I'm doing this to you. I feel real bad.
Why did you make me? No, in the words of my psychiatrist, Felice doesn't start anything. She just finishes it. That's the truth. I don't start things, but if you come at me, then...
Okay. Can I ask what
I will finish
did
it.
then to deserve to go and die in the woods with you?
No, I just was thinking, Steve gave me like a 2-hour speech about how his survival skills in the woods, so...
Okay, cool.
You're just a Marine that did like several tours of combat. We don't know.
Yeah. All right. This is great. This is great. I'm feeling...
See, you can't bring any... There's no pew-pews. This is not going to be like Most Dangerous Game if you That's a book, Matt.
What's a book?
Most Dangerous Game is a book where a really rich guy, invites a bunch of people to an island and then he hunts them.
That's right. It's not a coloring book, so you know.
Not a pop-up book.
How many
Although
pictures
the Most Dangerous Game coloring book, that sounds kind of cool.
Would be disturbing on many levels.
How many pictures are in that book?
You swim, Matt?
Yeah, I can swim.
Okay, I'm just checking. Just thinking about ways you could
swim
meet your end in the middle of nowhere. I'm just checking.
No, Marines have to be able to swim. We're amphibious.
Climb?
That's right.
Yeah,
it's a Marine.
Before.
Matt, having a layer of slime doesn't necessarily make you an amphibian.
Yes, it does.
Okay, sorry. Just checking.
I can also...
We'll just see. We'll just see who comes out alive. I'm always going to back myself, and I just think you have no idea what I'm capable of. So we'll just see.
Don't.
Steve, you might be the limpy gazelle.
I'm not.
I could be. I could be the wounded antelope.
I believe you.
Wasn't that your stripper name back in college, Steve? The Limpy Gazelle?
Limpy Gazelle.
It was, yes. It was my radio name. Playing all the hits.
To the stage, Limpy Gazelle.
Yep. Exactly.
When all the women in the club are yelling, "Put it on, put it on."
There should be an arts component, so maybe there will be a dance-off, which Matt will lose, or there will be some sort of monologue. That could be part of it. It's important to respect the arts.
I'm going to lose all of that. I don't know
when
why.
Felice and I are standing over Matt.
I was in the Phoenix. I was an alto in the Phoenix Girls Choir, so I'm going to belt out a solo in the middle of the woods that is going to make you all cry.
I don't cry.
That's how she'll win her camp off.
I don't cry. I'm a man. I just
that's
repress all of those.
I don't show my feelings.
They turn into.
There's a dying. The park rangers will be like, "Is someone dying out here? It sounds like an animal is screaming." Jennifer, thank you for the $5. This is my first camp off sponsor. Are these uncles or are we uncles or are we test driving new stepdads? Either way, I'm down. No, that's a joke. It's a joke about ever since I stopped doing lives with Jay, like all of my every time I do a live episode, they're like, "Is this our new dad?" I'm like, "We're gonna find you a dad. I'm sorry I left your first father. We're gonna figure it out." It's just
oh my god.
Oh, I thought it had.
Don't worry, kids. You're gonna get a dad at some point. Now you know. You see the real me.
I thought it had something to do with that German video I watched the other day.
It does.
Mom, if I could.
Not this time. Not this time.
It does. You can't. You should go talk to somebody about that.
Unbelievable. Holy shit.
Okay, well,
I needed this.
Gentlemen,
I really needed to laugh. Thanks. It's nice to meet you, Uncle. I think we've met before, but you are really funny. Thank you for cheering me up and making me feel better. Because truly, I was having a very dark couple of days there in my head. So this has been really good.
Happy to be of service. That's why clowns are here.
Good to see you, buddy.
Clowns are terrifying, actually. That's a whole nother thing. Maybe you could come on the camp off as a clown.
As a clown.
Steve,
as the scary clown in the woods that terrorizes other campers.
I'm sorry, the capacity for clowns in Vermont has been already surpassed. So
I was about to say, Steve and I have met. So do you think it's a good idea to get me out in the woods dressed up as a clown?
I would say, let's put it this way. I love you, buddy. I love you, buddy. I'll leave it right there.
I think on this camp off, though, we will have taco and chicken costumes. I think that's a great. Yeah, definitely there needs to be costumes.
Yeah,
oh, this is my therapist had a good idea. This is going to give me.
There is nothing at all weird about taco and chicken costumes with a clown out in the woods.
No,
nothing at all.
It's the most normal thing happening in this country right now.
Totally.
Sadly, that's actually kind of true.
At all.
Nothing to see here. Nope.
See who has what it takes, and we'll let you know what it means later.
Well, gentlemen, ladies, Steve, you guys have a good night.
You too, man. See you later.
Steve.
Bye. Take care.
Jennifer, thank you for the $10. Thank you, and you made me laugh so much. I know we all need to laugh more. We need to do some moments where we can all just be ourselves, because I really am funny. People think I'm a monster. I'm funny.
You are funny.
I know you are.
I think we should probably wrap it up because Gavin Newsom's going to go address the nation here
and drive Trump crazy.
8 minutes. So let people get over and do that. I think it's on the Midas Touch Network is where he's going to be at.
Yeah, and this is, and can I say why I think this is such a good idea is because, you know, the Midas Touch Network, most of those people that started it and that work there, they met because they all are lawyers. And so they're waiting for Trump to sue them so they can, because they will not back down from a lawsuit. So they're going to, you know, they want to depose Trump, and not just depose Trump, but go through discovery and get access to all his emails and text messages. So this could be the thing. I mean, I don't think Trump ever would, because he's got to be. I mean, someone would tell him that's a really bad idea, because that's what they're really trying to do. They're all lawyers, and they're trying to goad him into suing them so that they can get him into discovery.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you both for this. This has been absolutely
You have
great
no idea how
tonight.
much better I feel. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful. The Midas Touch, they have you can subscribe to them on YouTube. It's streaming on their YouTube channel. Somebody just asked. That's where you can find it.
I'm going to be debating with Pickles tomorrow. Someone asked me what time. It's probably probably 12 Central is usually when we start, sometime around there, because I just don't have it in me to screen record what's going on right now. I just feel too depressed, and I need to yell at some people. So I'll be, instead of the People's Receipts, I'm going to debate with Pickles and scream at some idiots.
Dope.
Sounds good. I'll be here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time.
Sweet.
Later, Gators.
I love you both.
Maybe
I love you
going
both.
to DC tomorrow.
Matt, see, a man is trying to tell you he loves you. Respond.
What happened?
A man is trying to say he loves you.
Love you guys.